So thank you for coming today. This is setting up a content calendar, figuring out what to post and how to plan so you can spend more time connecting with your followers and customers and less time stressing about what to post. No one likes stressing about what to post. So this is me. Hi, I'm Kathy Allen, in case you don't know me. I work at an indie bookstore. I have for 10 years worked at 3 different indie bookstores. I do social media for NABA. And before that, I did a bit for what is now Caliba. I was in, it was NCIBA before that. I was in Northern California. I have a very newly started social media for business, bookstores consulting business. And I share a lot about books online through my personal social media accounts, mainly on TikTok because I have a lot of fun there and have about 90,000 friends, which is kind of overwhelming. I love indie bookstores and I want all of you to succeed. So hopefully what I talk about today will help with that. And a quick note on the presentation, you're going to notice there are a lot of words and I will be reading most of them. You do not need to. Please don't do that. Just sit back, relax. One of the reasons I've included a lot of what I'm going to be saying today is for accessibility. Another reason is I am a person who takes tons of notes and I don't want you to miss anything. So it's all going to be here. And I'm going to give you a PDF of all of this at the end so you can revisit it at any time. And also I know you're busy. So if you need to be working on something else, you can just sit back and listen, whatever works for you. So again, we're talking about making a content plan. I really don't want you to stress about what to post. I also don't want anyone to think they are not doing social media right, because I've talked to a lot of people about social media and I just don't think I'm doing it right. There's no police. I promise you, no one is going to be coming for you. I don't think too many people even follow a lot of bookstore accounts. And even me, who follows about 300 or so, I promise you, I don't get mad at any bookstores when I see anything in my feed. So you're probably already all doing it right, but let's put a system together. So first and foremost, I'm very, very sorry if people need to leave because of this sentence. That's okay. There's no quick fix or 5-minute plan that's going to have your content for a month or a year done for you. And I really wish there was a way to do that. It would make my life easier too. But like any good thing, this is going to take some work, but setting up the process is going to help you save time in the future and hopefully alleviate any social media anxiety you are feeling, because no one wants that. So why even have a content plan? Why not just post willy-nilly? Well, fun fact, you can still post willy-nilly if you have a content plan. What I'm going to talk about today is more of a setup process and getting a system ready for you, sort of a guide to help things along. It's not something strict that you have to stick to no matter what. If you are like me, if I have a strict thing I need to stick to, I rebel. So you do not have to stick to anything. Again, you are the boss. You're a busy person. Social media is just one part of running a bookstore. Or if you are not running the entire bookstore, it's still only one part of what you are doing in your life. And once you get a process in place, you can repeat it each month if you'd like, and you can even start to hand things over. And having a process is a great way to make sure everyone is on the same page. And wouldn't it be nice to know that you have all your content planned out? Who doesn't want one less thing to worry about? One less thing to worry about. I have to do it, sorry. And you probably have all these ideas already. When we go through this, you're going to say, oh yeah, I share that. But maybe you don't have them all organized. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. So let's get them organized and all in one place. First up, I'm going to talk about different types of content today. If you came to my NVNR presentation in the fall, you're familiar with these, and you probably are familiar with these if you've seen anything on social media. We've got capture, curate, and create. So capture are things you're doing already that you just have to capture to make into content. So this is behind the scenes thing, shelving books, just putting your phone up on the shelf and doing like a time lapse of you shelving books. Videos of receiving books, lists you may make if you have upcoming events or something, things like that. Curate, just a reminder that you are an expert on books and the book industry in the eyes of your customers. So you can also share bookish related content that others share and that you love. And we'll talk later about this. It doesn't even have to be bookish. You can share other things too. And then create is content that you're going to create, the stuff you're going to plan for, you design it, you take the photos, either way you're making it. And one important thing I want everyone to think about is don't think you have to only share content you created. That's a surefire way to burn out. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Don't think you have to only share content you created. That's a surefire way to burn out. I need this this reminder as much as anyone else. And we'll talk about all of these as we go through. Again, before we get into actual planning, it's good to figure out your goals for social media, because a lot of people think about their goals and say, well, I want more followers. I want to make more money. Well, yeah, that's what all of us want. But we have to get really intentional about our specific goals. Like, how is that going to happen on social media before we can make the plan of how to make that happen? So I have a little tool for you, and I will give you the link at the end of the presentation. It's a quick, colorful little workbook called Social Media for Bookstores, Questions to Answer Before Making a Content Plan. These aren't all the questions in the world. These are just ideas to get you started. So take a quick look today. There are 3 sections: general questions to answer about your entire social media presence. We've got, what platforms are we on? I just use the royal we because I really like it. What platforms do we enjoy the most? There's a reason that's the second question, because you don't want to be on ones you don't like. Do you share different content? How often do you post? Who's your store's, what's your store's target audience? What's your bookstore's mission statement? What are some words that can describe your store? And you'd like to also have describe your social media presence, because optimally they should match up. And then the last page just has some overall questions. What are our overall social media goals? What sort of online spaces do we want to create? Again, thinking about how can your store and your social media feed match up? How do we want to engage with people? What do we want social media to do for our store and business? So there's some general ones. The second section is a platform worksheet for each platform that you're on. You can use this. Notice the first question in this case: do we enjoy being on this platform? Why or why not? And talking about the typical content you share. Are you happy with it? And you probably know the answers to these pretty quickly, right? And if you don't, it's still good to think about, because you're getting info about how you feel, which is always a good thing. How much time you spend on the platform? How do you want people to feel? What are the demographics of people who follow us here? Because different people are going to follow you in different places. And another important one: what does success look like for us on this platform? Because that can be different per platform. And how often will we evaluate how this platform is going? Evaluation is always good. Okay, style guide. If you have heard this and are scared, you don't need to be scared. And it's not super serious. It does not have to be super serious, but it is a really good way to get on paper what you are about. Even if you are the only person sharing social media for your store, I'd recommend that you do this, because it's just really good to have that info down, to remind yourself it's one decision you make that you can keep acting on. You can take it out of your brain so you have room to decide on other things. So this has your core values, what your brand voice is, or you can think store voice, what your voice is not. For instance, I am not sarcastic or snarky online. I don't use any swear words, not even anything like close to a swear word. So I would say I'm more like whimsical and wholesome. I'm not snarky and sarcastic, but everyone can do whatever they want to do. What colors do you typically use? What logos and what fonts? If you like to use a different font for bold, for titles, this could just be one font. Again, words or phrases you use often. Maybe you always say thank you in a certain way, or you have a certain sign off. So that's good to know. For Instagram and Facebook stories, if you've ever posted those, you know there are certain fonts you can use. There are certain colors. There are ways to use your brand colors, which we'll talk about in the Canva post. Canva coming up next. Stickers that you like to use a lot or something. TikTok is similar, has the font and the colors. And then this is an important one: hashtags for your customers to share content about you in the store. This could be as simple as your store's name. When I worked at a bookstore called Hickleby's in San Jose, California, we had one called Hickleby's Haul, H-A-U-L, and we had just a little sign at the register that said, hey, did you get some good books? Share online with hashtag Hickleby's Haul. And we'll see later how that can help with content. So I'm not going to give you time to do this today for a few reasons, because maybe you've already done this and I don't want to waste your time. But even if you have already done it, I think it's really good to reevaluate when you can. And also it would just take too long. So I'm going to send the workbook to you so you can work on this. And I know it's going to take time, and I know everyone is so busy, but I think it will be really helpful for you. So now that we know our goals, let's get into making a plan. Not so fast. We got to talk about content before we talk about making a plan. I promise you we will make a plan though, don't worry. So if you were not at the NVNR presentation that I did in the fall of 2020, I did a great presentation. I'm going to say it. I'm going to own it. There were lots of great ideas and examples for all three of the capture, curate, and create. And I took them from bookstores. I think there are maybe, for example, 20 different ways that an event post can look, a bunch of different ways that you can take a picture of a book that's not just like standing up with the title face out, right? So this link is embedded in the presentation or in the PDF, so you'll be able to check that out there. But I will still share some ideas with you today. So let's talk about the content you create. Odds are you're sharing a lot of the same stuff each month. So why not make lists to help you with that? So lists are really helpful for the topics that you're always posting on social media about. So I'm going to run through some of the ones that I see stores posting about a lot, but of course, I don't know every store. And these are just jumping off points. Again, I'm probably going to talk about this a lot through the presentation because I like a good process. Making a process means less decisions that you have to make. It is upfront work. I apologize. But it's going to make you have more time to create and share content that you love. And if you can make one decision and continually act on it, you'll have more time for all the other things you have going on. So first list topic, events. So I know you have events. Maybe you have not as many now that we are doing mostly virtual, but figure out a system for your events. Figure out how often you want to post about them. So maybe you announce when the event becomes official. Maybe you post when tickets and registration are available. Maybe you post 2 weeks out and say, don't forget, mark your calendar, maybe 1 week away. There's still time. Maybe the day before. It's tomorrow. Will you be there? If so, use this hashtag to share your experience. There's that hashtag we can throw in. The day of, happening now. Don't forget to do the event report after, sharing pictures, takeaways, info about how to get the book, any content that users have shared. We did this a lot when I worked at Hickleby's and we had the extra signed books, people would come in, but it also reminds people if they see it after and they say, oh, I really wish I could have come to that event. They're going to be reminded that if they want to know about it, they should be following you. So again, this is just an idea. Maybe you already have something like this in place. Maybe you don't want to post this much about one event, and that's okay. But realize that not everyone's going to see every post that we put up, and posting about it more means more people will see it. And they don't have to be the same type of post. Maybe some live on your feed, maybe some are in your newsletter, maybe some are in Instagram stories. You can feel free to switch it up. So the action step for this would be thinking about what events you have coming up next month and listing them out, how often you want to post about them, and list out each post that you would share. Moving on, everybody does it. It's the day today, New Book Tuesday. It's always going to be a thing forever. It will be a thing unless they change the day. That'd be weird. And then just be a different day. So how are you doing it? This content you can't really create too far ahead of time, right? Because you have to wait for the books to come out. But I'd encourage you to have a bunch of different templates or ways that you share the new books, or you can just do one way if that works for you. I like keeping it fresh, but again, you get to make all the decisions. So just some quick ideas that you've probably seen all over the internet. I have seen so many ideas. When I log on to NEBA's social media feed on Tuesday, it is all the new books, and it's so fun to see what everyone has. So book stack photo, classic. Book cart photo, waiting to be shelved, perhaps. The new releases table photo, a video showing the covers, videos working your way up the book stack, just moving your camera up, a video of employees holding up new books, going around to the new books, and a video of pulling them off the shelf. So think of them all on the shelf and you can just go, and show the cover. A flat lay of all the books, another classic, a text list or collage of all the covers, and maybe a blurred out picture and a number of the new releases for the day. And then you could do the next photo. You could actually show the covers because I know we need to sell books. We don't want to have too many mysteries. So think about when you're going to take your pictures for New Book Tuesday and then put on your content list each Tuesday because you know you're going to be sharing that and the type of photo or content you want to share of the new books. Okay, merch. This is a thing and will forever be a thing as well. You're always going to be getting new stuff in your store and you're going to want to show it off because people love it. So there are many times you can share about this too. You can share when you're placing the order, like, oh, we're getting this in the store. I'm so excited. Build that hype up. You can share when they come in an unboxing. You can share after the display is set up. You can share your monthly merch bestsellers. I am a sucker for a bestseller post. I love those. Every time one comes across my feed, I get excited. I just am really curious to see what bestsellers are. I don't think I've ever seen a monthly merch bestseller post. So I want to see some of those selfishly. And if you have the ability to do that in your system, why not? Have your booksellers pick out their favorite merch. That could be fun. And merch is also a great way to cross promote, which is a way that your content can be seen by more people. So tag the company that you're highlighting. If you just got in some new stuff from out of print, tag them. Share the story of the company who is making the thing. We do this in store. I currently work at Bard's Alley in Vienna, Virginia. We have a little notebook that has kind of the about us of everything that we sell in our cafe. So if people say, oh, what's the deal with this popcorn? We can say, oh, it's these two sisters who make popcorn at home or something. So you can do that online as well, because people love when they have the story behind the brand. They're going to love learning about what connected you to the brand in the first place too, because everything that comes into your store, it's the best part about indies. A human made that decision and said, this should be in our store, right? And speaking of store merch, make sure you're showing off your store merch too. People love supporting your store. So you could use the same sort of timeline that I talked about over here, the same ideas, but also if you're designing it for yourself or with a partner company, take your customers on that journey. Show that sketch, show the company you're using and why you wanted to work with them. Another chance for self-promotion or cross-promotion, I'm sorry. So the action step for this one is what new and store merch posts do you have coming up? List out each post you'll share and what type of post it will be, like a video, picture of a display, etc. And I'm just keeping an eye on my time, make sure I'm on track here. Yep, I'm perfectly on track. So staff pics, every store has them. Oh, there's a typo. Every store has them. Well, some stores do, but you are the only store that has your staff. So your staff pics are going to be unique. So how do you do this? I want you to take a picture of every shelf talker you have in your store. I know that's going to take a while, but why do more work when you've already made the shelf talker, right? And then while you're at it, take those shelf talkered books and create viable lists for them on your website or bookshop.org by genre or bookseller. Here's some staff pick related ideas. You can do video reviews with staff members. I know video can be a little scary to people. We'll talk some tips for that in the TikTok presentation tomorrow. You can do a collage of someone's favorite books and have people guess the staff member. That could be pretty fun. Have each staff member share one pick from the same section. So collage would work well for this. And even if someone doesn't read in that section, you could put just a little image in that collage that's like, Kathy Allen doesn't read. What don't I read? Like adult sci-fi. Not that it's not great. I just don't read a lot of it. What makes something a staff pick? Ask each staff member how they choose a staff pick. And if a staff member doesn't want to show their face, you can always take the text of their review and the cover of the book to create a graphic. And you could even highlight a staff member each month and showcase a display of their books or feature them in a social media list. Excuse me. Part 2. This would be really fun. I would do every one of these quizzes. Have a who do you read like quiz with different picks. And at the end, they get the staff member they are most like. So you could create this in a simple way for each genre or an overall one where each answer is tied to a staff member. Maybe only do a couple of staff members at a time because it could get a little unwieldy. And then whatever staff member they match, they get the most correct answers for, that's who they read like. You could do this in store with little flaps to lift to once it's safe to touch things again. And a bonus idea for added partnership and cross promotion, because it's always great if your content that you make can reach more people. You can apply this to community picks. You can bring in influencers in your community, and they don't have to be social media people. Lots of people are influencers, and give them a shelf in store or make them an honorary bookseller for the month and share their staff picks either in store, online, or both. I'm going to give a shout out to Buffalo Street Books in Ithaca that I visit when I'm back home visiting my husband's family. And I love that they have a little section of their influential people in their community who pick books that they love. One more thing that we're going to talk a little bit more about later, but this is a great time to bring it up and get the idea in your head. I want you to get your staff used to the fact that they are responsible for giving you some content each month. There's no reason one person should be taking pictures of everyone when most people have a good camera in their pocket. Now, of course, not everyone has a smartphone. I don't want to assume that. And not everyone may be able to take pictures. So make accommodations for those employees and figure out a time that photos can be done. And let employees know what type of content you're looking for and that they can work on creating it during store hours if it's slow. So the bookstore I work at, we are responsible for 3 to 4 pieces of content a month. And we have that little hour on Saturday when I'm working, typically between 12 and 1, everyone's out getting lunch. And I just take some pictures of book stacks or take a quick video, and then we're busy the rest of the day and have my content ready to go. So my action step here is I really want you to do it. Get your booksellers in the routine of giving you at least one staff pick per month. Think of all of the content you're going to have there and list out all of those posts. Okay, holidays. Since we are in the retail business and we know people love to buy books as gifts, we're definitely going to be posting about holidays. So get a process for this too. How far before the holiday are you going to start posting books about the holiday? Some people really like to be prepared while others are last minute. So posts around both times can actually cater to different people. Consider showing off when you're ordering books for the holiday too, even if it's months in advance. I'm sorry if I have little things making noise over here, so I'm sorry. I don't know how to turn that off. Remind customers they can always pre-order or special order for holidays. Just make it very clear. And I love that I see people doing this, especially in the winter holiday, around the winter holidays. Make it very clear about the last day you can do that if you want to expect to get the item in. Pair books with gifts, create bundles. A lot of people are already doing this. Partner with local businesses for bundles. You could reach out to an influencer in your community, send a bundle too. Show off newer books for the holiday and your perennial favorites. And if you have staff members that celebrate the holiday, ask them what they are gifting if their family members don't follow your accounts. Got to be careful. So you can do this, you know this, you can do this for bigger holidays and those fun, weird holidays like Cheese Day, Book Lover Day, Donut Day. I think all those are pretty, not too weird, but I've got some resources for you to find some. And you can tie this into curation as well. You can share info about the holidays or the month so your customers know more about it and can learn even if they don't buy a book from your store. So Instagram has great infographics. Everyone's sharing really great stuff there. So there are lots of awesome articles and podcasts on the internet too. And of course, this goes for the shopping season. I don't have to tell you, back to school is a big one. Don't forget the 3 big bookstore holidays. Those are Indie Bookstore Day, Small Business Saturday, and the related holidays if you celebrate them, like Flannel Friday and Cider Monday, and your bookstore's birthday. So figure out how far in advance you want to be sharing. And I know some people may think I'm sharing too much about this one specific thing, but most likely the only person seeing all the content you put out is you. So let's say it's the 5th time you've put out a piece of content about your bookstore birthday, right? Maybe someone has notifications on and they have seen all 5 times you've posted about it. But guess what? If they have notifications on, they love you. They want to hear from you the second you post something. They are not going to say, here's that bookstore posting about their bookstore birthday again. They're going to be excited. They're going to be like, yes, the bookstore birthday. I can't wait to go. Now, on the other hand, you have a casual follower. Maybe they only catch the 5th thing that you post, right? And they say, I have no idea. I'm glad I saw this. So now I know. And we all know that this happens because we see those comments after events that say, I wish I knew this were happening. How come I didn't know about this? So it's not your fault. I know you're sharing. Share it with them so often they have to know. And again, doesn't mean share the same exact thing 5 times in a row because people are going to tune out if it is the same thing. So your action step is thinking about your holidays, listing them out, and listing out each post that you're going to share and how often you're going to post about them. So our next list topic is sales. So when do you have sales? Get some graphics ready for that. And you can do it before, as it's happening, and after. I think it seems a little counterintuitive to share about it after, but it's a great reminder to say, if you don't want to miss out, follow us. This is a really fun one that Bookshop Santa Cruz did when I lived there. They might still be doing it. I'm not sure. They have a coupon that they will post, for instance, on Instagram and say something like, hey, Instagram follower, thanks for being here. We've got a secret coupon for you. Come into the store between this date and this date. And at the register, say this code word, algorithm. And if you do, we'll hand you a coupon for 10% off a book of your choice or a free ARC. Okay. So this is really cool because code words are fun. People feel like it's a secret mission. And you're going to see if your post is working because you're only going to say that on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter. And it's training your followers there to keep a close eye because if something pops up like that, they think, oh, there was a coupon that one time. please don't just do it one time and string them along. But it doesn't have to be a sale. Like I said, it could be an advanced reader copy. If you're getting a bunch of those in, you get some cool swag that you have extras of. It's just a fun way to engage people. So think about your sales that are coming up and list out each post you would like to do. Couple of topics here that are just little quick ones I want to add. Change in hours. This happens around many different things. So I think it's a good idea to have just a graphic ready that could just say change in hours, closing early, closed due to weather. And you can pop in the caption, the actual details. But how nice to have that just ready to go. So you're worrying about closing and people being safe. Perhaps you don't have to worry about how to say it. If you have partnerships with businesses in your community, which I think you should, that's a great part about being a small business. You can figure out when maybe you're going to cross promote each other. Maybe you have a book that pairs up with a great bottle of wine for the wine store next door, or you have a book that has a great ice cream in it and the ice cream place down the street is emulating that. So figure out how often you are going to share about those too. So just get some templates ready, think about your partnerships and add it to the list. We're going to have a lot of lists, and I'll show you an example of all of these things on lists as we go through. Okay, your store, your physical location makes you unique. And if you don't have one, that makes you unique too. So take some photos of your storefront in all kinds of weather, spotlight certain parts of your store, do a store tour. If you have changes, make sure you are sharing them. And think about photo worthy spots. If you don't have one and you have room to make a cool photo background, do it. I know space is tight, so you might not have room. Or suggest people take photos in certain spots by putting little circles or markers on the floor, like stand here for a great bookish background, or the lighting's really great here. I remember my mom was a huge Dolly Parton fan, and we'd go to Dollywood every year, and they had little signs that said Kodak moment, and to tell you like, this is a great spot to take a picture, something like that, because people love a cool background. They're more likely to share that photo, which you can then share. Think about how many photos you have seen of the book arch in the last bookstore in LA, right? Or Books Are Magic, the mural outside their store. You don't have to have a mural, you don't have to have an arch, but think about something that you could do perhaps in store. Share things that happen in store. If there's a cool conversation, ask if you can share it online or at least parts of it. If shoppers buy a great stack of books, ask if you can take a picture of them with the books or just the books if they don't want to do that. Adorable kid looking at books, same thing. This lets people who are not in your store feel like they are really there. Please make sure you're getting permission from everyone you're sharing photos of though. And if they have social media tags or handles, get those too if they're okay with it for cross promotion. I want to share a quick story about a cool conversation that happened in our store that turned into a great piece of social media content. So a guy came in, and it's probably not a surprise to anyone that I am one of the most outgoing booksellers at our store. And I talk to everybody. We were joking that maybe we just have a booth that I am in. And if people just want to chat, they can come talk to me about books or anything. And I was talking to him, and he was looking at our shelf talkers, and he said, I love your shelf talkers. He called them little review thingies, which I thought was great. And I always get good recommendations. And he pulled a book off the shelf and said, this one I really loved, and I got it because of the shelf talker. I gave it to my dad. He loved it. He bought it for my two brothers. And one of my brothers lives in New York City. So one day he's on the subway and he is reading the book. He just started the book. And someone came up to him and said, hey, is that a good book? And he told them the story of how the book came from Virginia and how he just got it and how I loved it and my dad loved it. And he said, I just got it. I'm really liking it so far. Have you heard about it? Do you know about it? And the guy said, yeah, I'm the author. So they had this great conversation. He got his book signed, and it was so cool. So I was in the store, got my iPhone, did a portrait photo of this guy in the book after asking if we could take his picture. I know that our social media manager, Leah, she likes to do portrait mode. So I did my portrait mode photo. I wrote down a piece of paper with arrows, and I said, book, father, brothers, subway, author, and proceeded to forget it at the store. And no one could tell what I was talking about, but I was like, no, I remember. So we posted on Instagram. It's just a photo with the story. And that got like 4 to 5 times our normal views and likes, and it got a ton of engagement. Sometimes we only get a couple of comments. I know some of you feel that. I think we got 25 or 30 comments. People were commenting on how cool is that? We love that book. I share books with my family. And people, I think, also were thinking about Oh, cool. Like that also tells them if you have a great story to share, we're here. We want to hear about your cool story. You can't always make that happen, but sometimes it can. So be on the lookout for content around your store and list out what you have or what you'd like to create. Okay, voice content. So your voice is going to come across in every piece of content that you share. But in this section, I want to talk specifically about your store's voice and content that you share that is not promoting products at all, or not really a hard promotion. Instead, it's sharing your store's voice or mission, and or it's the voice of the person running your social media account. And this is really important, thinking about that style guide. If you are not the person running the social media account, making it very clear that whoever is, they know what your store voice is. So that is what they're going to share. They're going to share along those lines. So going back to that mission statement of your store, what do you want your store and your social media feed to feel like? So you need voice content, because if you're just promoting books, then your feed's going to look like every other bookstore. And I know we all have books and merchandise, but we are also our own bookstore. So when people come into your store, they see the books, they see the merch, but they see the booksellers, they feel the vibe, they get the message of your store from the layout, the products, the music playing, the signage, the displays, everything. They're getting a feel for your store. So you can share that stuff. Share your favorite playlist that you love having on in the store when you're in. So this can be as fun or as serious as you want, since bookstores are places where communities, ideas, and people come together, and lively discussions can happen online around those topics too. I love that many bookstores make their views on human rights issues and politics very clear. I know some stores may not feel comfortable doing that, totally fine. But I love that many bookstores just across the board, even if they're not sharing about that, are sharing who they are and what they stand for. So their customers are comfortable in their store and also in their online feeds. So what can voice content look like? Literally anything. I know it sounds simple, but it kind of is. So we're booksellers. Of course, we love to talk about books, the book business, but we like to talk about other stuff too. So don't be afraid to throw in some random stuff if you feel like it reflects your store's personality. So this is a fun time to play around with memes. Memes are so fun. To share content from other people and businesses, to show off the bookstore pets, link to causes you care about, show your support for a human rights bill that's making its way through Congress. Lots of bookstores are already doing this. Share one of those things that says, oh, which bookmark are you? Because people love those things. They love to say, oh, I'm that one, or I'm neutral good, or chaotic good. And something random might be the thing that people connect over. One time I got a job because I used the word plethora in a job application, and these people just love the word plethora. So I got a job. These voice related posts may not sell products, but they do give your customer a broader view of who you are, who your store is, who your booksellers are. So that's going to make you feel like the real humans that you are, and that's going to drive connections. And it's a good way for people to connect to you through the screen. So take a look at your store's voice. Think about some posts on that. I know this seems like a lot of work, but I promise it's going to be really helpful. So these are my ideas for lists. You may have some very specific things. One thing I left off that I know a lot of stores do who have used books is sell book bundles or sell specific books on their feeds. So if you're doing this, you get that system in place. You know I was going to say it. Know exactly what you're going to say. Know exactly how it's going to go. Maybe you have the same backdrop set up. You just plop the book there. I'd recommend using these lists as a place to store content that is already done and ideas you have for content, because sometimes you have a great idea and you want to make the content right then and there. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So don't lose that idea. That is a reminder for me as well as you. Okay, so that was all sort of stuff that we were creating. Let's talk about curating. So again, to your customers, you're not only the place to buy books and merch, you're experts on the book industry and the book field. So they go to you for recommendations. Perhaps they go to you for book news. This is good for you because you might not have to create content around this. There's already a lot of content out there that you can share. So again, if there are specific types of content you want to curate and share, so book lists from other articles, book news, articles about Amazon, you can make lists, because I love lists, and you can collect those as you go. Okay, this is just a quick, it's not too quick actually, but I think it's important to talk about sharing. I think I see most bookstores being really respectful when they are sharing, but I'm going to share a story about in a personal sort of book related thing when there wasn't as much respect around sharing. So please make sure you have permission to share. For many people who post resources and or art on Instagram, they have reposting guidelines. So sometimes they'll have that in one of the little highlights across the top, the little circles. Whoops, I'm sorry, I went ahead. And most people like when others share their content, but they may have strict rules about how you can share it. So some quick do's and don'ts. Do not use their art to promote your business in any way. So this is like if someone does a really cute little photo of it's springtime, probably don't use their art to advertise your springtime sale. If an artist is doing a drawing that they are sending to stores with like the Kid Lit Art Surprise, totally fine, because they do want to help you promote your business. Don't edit their photos by using filters or cropping out their handle. That's really important. And don't post something if you don't know who made it. And I know this is hard, especially I see a lot on my personal Facebook feed of just kind of fuzzy screenshots of art. And there are plenty of pieces of art and cool things to share about that do have sources. I've just heard some people say, oh, it's just on the internet, but someone did create it. It didn't just show up magically. So what can you do? Well, you're probably already doing this. Share a link to the creator's original post. So you can do that on Facebook and Twitter. If you share in stories on Instagram, you can do that, or with the swipe up. Always tag the creator when you share. So if you're sharing on Instagram stories, write out the creator's handle. If you're sharing in anywhere, like tag the creator immediately, make a sentence at the beginning, like, look at this great art from whoever, and tag the creator in the actual image if there's a way to do that. And write on early in your caption that if people want to share your post, to please go to the creator's original post and share it from there so they can get the views and credit. And make it really clear. You're hyping up this awesome work. You want people to know about it. I don't want people to be afraid about sharing. These are just some good guidelines. Find the actual person that shared it. I did see this happening in the bookish community. I think a couple of months ago, people were sharing about, it was around Small Business Saturday, how you can help a small business for free. Like a bookstore found something, they shared where they found it, and that was great. But when you went to where they found it, I actually saw that that person made the graphic from words that someone else shared. So it was kind of going down this rabbit hole, right? If you'd like to credit the person you heard it from, so say you see Neba sharing something cool and in our stories, and then you want to share it, you don't have to credit where you heard it from, but if you want to, you could add a little tag like, thanks to Neba for sharing this. This is how I found out about it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. TikTok is a little trickier because there isn't really a way to link things in posts or even share in stories. So in this case, I'd recommend using the green screen function if you're using TikTok to share images and then the resource. And again, state at the very start you're sharing it. Thank the creator for making it. Direct people in the caption and comments to where they can find the original work. If you're sharing something from TikTok, there are ways to duet, stitch, and react to the original content that automatically tags the creator and will take anyone who clicks on the creator's name to the original piece of content. If you're like, what do those words mean, Kathy Ellen? TikTok presentation tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. It is very 101. I'm going to show you how to create videos, and it's going to be really fun. Basically, make it very clear that you are only sharing this info, not that you created it. So quick story around Dr. Seuss. I was on my Instagram account and I saw someone who was sharing about Dr. Seuss. I see a lot of people sharing about that. But this person is Teach and Transform on Instagram. She was not only sharing like info about why certain books are problematic, but hey, if you want to get rid of Dr. Seuss books, but you like certain books, here are inclusive books that are around the same topic. Here are some ABC inclusive books. Here are some books that rhyme and have really great alliteration. So it was a really great post. I loved it. So I hopped on TikTok. I did a screenshot of all of these slides that she shared on Instagram, hopped on TikTok, put it up and said, I just have to let you know about this post I saw. It's amazing from Teach and Transform. Look at all of this great stuff. I probably mentioned her 3 or 4 times in the video. I mentioned her in the caption. I told people to head over to Instagram so they could check it out. And I said earlier, I have 90,000 followers on TikTok on my personal account, and it doesn't ensure that everyone is going to see it. We'll talk about that tomorrow, because there are 2 different options when you get on TikTok, whether you see stuff from people you follow or whether you just sort of see an explore page. But anyway, this one spread very quickly and was over 150,000 views like within a day. So I messaged her on Instagram and said, just heads up, I'm sending people to you. If you get this influx, like it might be me, it might not just be from me. I just want you to know what's happening. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm not on TikTok. I didn't see the video. So I sent her the link to the video. I sent her the video so she could share it. And then I got a message from her about 3 or 4 days later. She had gone from 1.5 thousand followers to about 15,000. And that is really hard to do on Instagram now, because Instagram doesn't have as much attention on it as it has had before. And she said, hey, I see you have some reposting guidelines. I post some writing on my personal account. It's not, nobody's going to share it to a national media outlet, but maybe someday they will. So I have some reposting guidelines just in case. And she said, I'd really love to use those because I've had problems. People are screenshotting my work. They're not tagging me. They're putting my tag way down in the hashtags where no one can find me. They're putting one of their own screens first and then putting my stuff. So it seems like they made it. People are sharing it from their account and not mine. And she's like, I'm glad the info can get out in the world, but I did this work. So do you think it's okay for me to have these guidelines? And I said, yes, 100%. So that is sort of like an extreme case of when something goes really viral, but why not be prepared? Talking about the hat tip thing again down here that I really love to do if a friend shares something, and I like to say where I saw it. So I would share the original post, say it was the Teach and Transform post. I'd share the post, I'd tag Teach and Transform, and I'd say hat tip to bookseller of the year. I don't know if there is an account like that, but that'd be fun, for sharing this in their story so I could see it. Again, this is not necessary at all, but I think it's important if you're going to thank someone for sharing something that you also tag the original creator, because you're glad they are sharing this thing that you like, and it just gives credit to everybody. Okay, I feel like that was kind of a lot, but I think it was important. So what can you curate? You can curate stuff from Shelf Awareness. They're always posting cool stuff. Articles about the book industry, articles about anything. Book lists, articles where you're featured, accounts you like to follow, anything anti-Amazon. It's great if it comes from you, but it's also great if it doesn't come from you, because it's less work for you. And it shows a lot of people are against Amazon and they're for indies. Questions or quotes from books, about bookstores. You can just screenshot those if you want and plop them in. So these are just a few ideas. I'd also say collect what you curate, because you're going to find stuff, you don't want to lose it, that you like. I like to do this a lot in Instagram in the saved option and save them in different little folders. And this is a really good way to create a bunch of content to just have that you can share at any time. A lot of things like book lists and book articles are evergreen. People can, whenever they see it, they'll get some value from it. And again, you can share all over the place. Curating is a great way to avoid burnout too, because it's much easier to share content this way and it's less work for you. And it's a cool way to collaborate because everyone likes feeling like they're being seen, and they like to see that people are seeing them. So get thinking about how you can curate, and let your customers help you too. Remember we talked about that hashtag, the store hashtag earlier. So if you encourage them to use that hashtag, you may have some content coming in that they have created. And then when you share it, they're so excited. They're saying, oh, I got noticed by Bard's Alley and they love me and I love them. This is so great. You can have signage up at your store that says share with this hashtag. Maybe you'll see yourself featured on our social media feeds. I still think it's important to ask directly. Most people who share on a public account, and if they tag you, they want you to see it, they would probably be okay with you sharing it, but it's never a bad idea to double check. Capture. I think this is the most underrated, underused side of content for bookstores. And I love seeing this. And this is just recording, remember, documenting things you're already doing and showing behind the scenes stuff and bringing people along the journey. People are curious. They love to know this stuff. This could be a ride along with you in the car as you're delivering books. It can be you scanning books, right? Anything you think would be fun to share and can be shared through capturing. And people, like I said, are really curious. A lot of people dream about owning a bookshop, but they have no idea what that entails. So if you're comfortable, you can share behind the scenes stuff like that with them. What about content sharing ratios? So you've got all your content, and I don't think you have to be entirely strict first and foremost about your ratio. And I think it's important to think about different times of year. So maybe during the holiday season, you are promoting a ton, right? Maybe during seasons that aren't as busy, you're capturing and curating more. Or maybe you're so busy, all you have the energy for is sharing something you've already curated, right? And that's totally fine. So these are some ratio examples I pulled from the internet. And you can think about these, you can not think about these, you can do whatever you'd like. So the thirds is a third from you, a third curated, a third that reflect your personal voice or help build the brand. 411 is 4 pieces of relevant content to your audience and 1 reshared bit of content you didn't make. 555, 5 original, 5 from others, 5 comments on other posts. 532, 5 pieces of content from others, 3 pieces from you, 2 personal posts. The golden ratio, 30% yours, 60% curated, 10% promotional. Buffer, which is a social media scheduling tool, they took a look at some companies that do 90% of their own content or even 100% of their own, and they found that they're all often promoting while sharing value and have evergreen content, which I think is most bookstores, honestly. And remember, this isn't like something you have to do every week or every day. This is only a sort of general thing to think about. Again, I think as bookstores, you can lean into your own content because people follow you and they know you're selling books, so it's fine. And I honestly don't think you have a lot of time to be posting a lot of stuff that isn't promo content. I don't think you need a specific ratio, but I think it is a good idea to keep an eye on what you're posting and kind of figure out how much you'd like to share. Again, you don't have to be sharing entirely your own content all the time. And I think a lot of bookstore content is evergreen content. Even if someone doesn't see a post about a book right when it comes out, if it is a new book to them, they've never seen it before, that is valuable. And it's easy to repost evergreen content too. So speaking of reposts, it's totally okay to do that. You can post across platforms. Think about this too. Typically, Facebook and Instagram content stays for about a day or gets sent out by the algorithm for about a day. But TikTok or Twitter's, is 18 minutes. So you can repost the next day. If someone is not on in those 18 minutes, they might not see your first post. There's going to be more in the TikTok presentation later. TikTok content stays about 90 days, though I've seen content that's more than 2 years old getting shared recently. So this is another plug for the TikTok presentation. You can do it. It's going to be great. And keep this in mind when you're making posts. Like, are you spending an hour on a Twitter post that's only going to be shared for 18 minutes? Sometimes getting info out there is more important than making it pretty, and that is okay. You will see that in the Canva presentation. I have many things where I say, this is not pretty, but this got the info out, and that's what it needed to do. How about how often should you post? No hard and fast rules either. No one is policing your content, okay? Here are just some general ideas. Facebook, 1 to 2 times a day. Twitter, 5 to 20 times a day. I am not on Twitter, so I do none of that. Instagram, 1 to 2 times a day, plus a few stories, and TikTok at least once a day. Again, please don't think that you have to do this. This is just a general sort of thing. And you remember, they don't have to be all your own content. Maybe you post 2 original tweets and you retweet 18 tweets because you follow a lot of amazing people. Or some days you're just sharing in stories and not on your Instagram feed, right? And you don't have to be on every platform. Okay, so got your lists. You have your content. Make sure you're looking at your analytics too, because if stuff is working, you want to do more of what is working. And what posts people are commenting on. If you go to your analytics for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you can sort by what posts have the most comments, what posts get shared the most. So make sure it doesn't have to be an in-depth look, but make sure you take a look at that. Okay, now we're going to get to the scheduling. So I'm not going to recommend any one software to do this because there are many options. And really, I'm just showing you this process that hopefully you can apply no matter what platform you use to manage it all. Even if you use pen and paper, like I love to use pen and paper. I know, feels so old school. I'm going to show you using Trello. It's an easy way to visualize it. So that's why I'm using Trello. And I think I am going to, yes, I'm going to go head over. Okay. That's when I head over to Trello. Just wanted to make sure. And a quick plug as well for our scheduling platform presentation panel, which will be tomorrow. So scheduling basics, you're going to get out your calendar, you're going to get out your list, you're going to pop things in. And I'd say at the start, see if you can plan like a week ahead, maybe then 2 weeks, then you could do a month. And start with the events, the holidays, New Book Tuesdays, just start plugging things in, drop and drag. And then you're going to see at that point, am I sharing too much about that specific event? Do I really want to do that? And maybe you see way too much of that. That's okay. You can adjust. Start adding. You can even label each post if you would like, and show, is this captured? Is this curated? Is this something that we created? So you can have a quick look at your ratios. Okay, I think I'm doing pretty good on my time. So let me hop over to Trello. I'm just gonna escape out of this real quick. And we're in Trello. Okay, so I don't have a bookstore, but I just pulled together some lists in Trello. So real quick, if you haven't used Trello, you can make lists, you can move things around like this. In these little lists, you can also you can attach a picture, you can have a checklist. So you can use this to communicate with people. In this case, I'm just using it to show you things. So these are my lists right here. New Book Tuesday. We're getting that every day, every Tuesday. Here are all the different holidays, and you can see I'm laying them out. Stop notifications. I'm sorry. Whoa, no. Okay. So maybe you want to do the picture of that Easter display on Saturday. We definitely want to post something on Easter Sunday. We want to post something on the last day of Passover, but we also want to do a Passover display before that. We've got events this month. Indie Bookstore Day is coming up. You can see it in events. So Indie Bookstore Day, we're going to show the merch on the 3rd. We're going to hype up events on the 10th. We're going to hype up sales and specials on the 17th. We are going to, on the day before, remind people about everything, put out the hashtag. If I ever have a bookstore, I'm going to call it Really Good Books because I like puns, and it probably will start as like a book bike or something. And then the day of Indie Bookstore Day, the day after. So these were I did exactly what I talked about in the presentation. I just made lists and went through and plopped things in. Staff picks to share. I have made up some staff here, mostly my family and some other people that I know. Some quick videos. Here's some new merch ideas. Spotlight on customers. In my imaginary bookstore, my customers share all the time, so I get good content. In Instagram stories or Facebook stories, sharing accounts that tag us. This would just be a reminder for me of what I can do. Our store voice. I want to make sure I do a reminder of our COVID policy and masks. Let's catch up on that bookstore, Pat. Let's talk a little bit about our booksellers. I'm going to promote our newsletter because we have a great newsletter in my imaginary store. I'm going to remind people to follow us on other platforms. Libro FM has great audiobook bestsellers. Love those. So I'm going to share that. I'm going to boost someone we follow and love. Bookstore Cats article. Got to share it. I'm going to share about our Texas bookseller friends who are upholding mask mandates in their stores to keep people safe. I'm going to capture opening the store and shelving books and happy customers. So now what I can do, so I'm laying them out in 10s because I just like that idea, but you could go a week at a time. So I can go over here and say, okay, I'm going to drag this card. Come on over, little buddy. All the way over here, because I know I'm going to share this between April 1st and April 10th. It's going to go for a little ride. Bloop, put that there. And I'm just going to keep doing that. So I would, drag over. Let's do the Passover display. Doop. So I'm not going to show you everything. You understand. So you can have all of this stuff in your list there. You can see, what am I missing? Oh, I need to do some type of capture. Let's do a capture of opening the store. Right. And then from there, you can plug it into whatever platform that you use to create all of the things that you make and to schedule it. Or I would probably just have it like this and then down on pen and paper. Okay, what am I going to share each day? Because that's how I like to roll. The nice thing about Trello too is that you can keep, this is still here. So I could populate this for maybe May, say. And you can archive these lists or keep them. So maybe I want to keep all of these. And next year in February or March, I say, what did I share last year? Like, what did I share last year in April? Let me just do a quick look. Or even in May, that first week in April felt really good. What did I share? Ooh, I don't have as many holidays. That's okay. I can put in some more lists or something like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to... if I can, my presentation. Okay, which is where here, I think. Yes, okay. So again, you don't have to use Trello. That's just an option. So a few more things. What if you do have a problem thinking of things to post? Again, go to that NVNR presentation that I made, okay? Because I gave you a lot of ideas there. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I share ideas. I share cool stuff that bookstores are doing. I'll tell you where to follow me. And content is literally everywhere. You can share anything as long as you think it's either valuable to your audience or building up that brand through the personal voice. Also, ask questions of your followers. What do they want to see? You'd be surprised. A lot of them like to answer those questions. We come to the TikTok presentation. I asked readers on TikTok specifically what they want to see bookstores sharing. And I think I have 35 or so ideas of what they want to see, which can be applied across the board. And what if no one's answering? You have a small account, you're asking the questions, you're doing the right things, no one's talking to you yet. Go to the bigger accounts. See what people are saying in their comments. What are they asking about? What book lists are people looking for? You can answer the questions there, which I recommend if you would like to do that for engaging. And you can also use that as a springboard for content that you create. That is my general rule. If I comment something anywhere, I copy the comment into a note, because if I'm going to spend a couple of comments talking about something, I probably feel pretty strongly about it. So why not create my own content eventually around that? This is important. The have to content, if you feel like I just have to post a piece of content today, right? You're probably not feeling it, and people are going to feel that you're not feeling it, right? So it's okay to take a break. It's totally okay to take a break. It's better than putting up a junk piece of content. And when I say junk, I don't mean it looks bad. It can look however it wants. I'm thinking you feel like, oh, I just plopped something up there. That's junk in my mind. So maybe today is the day that you share more retweets or Instagram stories. Maybe today's the day you take a break. It's okay to take a break. It's totally okay. Even if you do put up a junk piece of content, you can actually learn from it. So you can see, why did no one engage with this? I wonder. And those analytics, again, please look at those regularly, see what's doing well, and try to do more of that. Of course, you don't have to do things that only perform well, but it's a good idea to know what people like and interact with a lot. So one of the things that I need to do more of on TikTok that a lot of people love is I literally just share the first line of the book. So it's a 10-second video. I say, here's the first line. Would you read this book? People love it. Some of those videos have been 500,000 views. And I don't know why, but they love it. Probably because it's short, probably because it's engaging. But I also love sharing whole minute videos where I talk about a book in depth, because most books can't be summed up in 15 seconds. So it's all about the variety. Can you still be spontaneous? Yes. When most of your content is planned out, you don't have to think about it too much anymore, and your brain can be available for those new ideas. Again, no rules. No one is watching to make sure you're doing social media right. The right way to do it is the right way that works for you. And I find that by having a lot of content ideas written down and a plan in place, that it frees my brain up to think of fun stuff to post. And this is just me, but maybe you're like this too. Sometimes when I see the list of things that I want to post, I realize that's not what I really want to post at all. And I post other stuff that's more exciting. So creating this content calendar is going to help you also build a safety net while also giving you the flexibility to share stuff on the spot. So if you have a lot of content built up and some of it is evergreen, then you can be flexible and move stuff around. So harder to move holidays and sales and stuff around, but that new merch, it's still new. You can move that post around. If you are getting inspired, you just read this book that you love, or you get something brand new in that everyone needs to know about, or you're selling a lot of it. So you want people to know these are going fast. If you want one, you better come in. Don't forget to do this. And I know this takes time. Social media takes time. I admit it. Don't forget to interact, because social media is social. We can just set it and forget it and plop stuff up, but we want engagement and interaction. And if people comment on our stuff, we want to be commenting back. Now, this does not mean you have to comment back immediately. I know you can't be on your phone 24/7. You have to do other things. I'd advise being on just after you post, just for a little bit, to see if people comment right away, and scroll through your feed, maybe interact a little bit, maybe share something, maybe you find something you want to save. And then one of those notifications pops up that someone has commented, because also if someone has commented right away, they probably have notifications on, or, they really like you, they're excited, and that's cool. They comment, you comment back. And this isn't something you have to do, each and every time either. I just think it's important to make time to interact and engage with people who take the time to interact and engage with you, because this is how you can build super fans and how people feel seen and appreciated by you. I thought I had a note in there, but maybe that was on another one, that you can also make it very clear to people that, for instance, I very rarely post on my personal Facebook account. When I do, I comment back about a week later because I only go on Facebook a couple times a week for very little time. So I have made it clear to people like, oh, just saw this, I'm not here all the time. Here's where I am. I'm on, TikTok and Instagram more. What about taking a break? Take a break. As you create your plan, you got to figure out time to take a break. So you're going to want to reevaluate too, like how are things going? If something is really not working, you'll probably, if you're like me, be like, whoop, nope, I'm going to stop that. But also give it a little time. Taking a break is really important. The internet is always on. So we feel like we should be always on. But think about this. Are you in your store 7 days a week? Maybe you are. But is that sustainable? I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But you don't have to be on 7 days a week. You don't. You can take a week off. You can take a few days off, maybe a few days each quarter. Just communicate that and say, hey, we're taking a social media sabbatical today. We'll see you Monday or whatever. Here it is. I knew I put it in there. Communicate what your followers can expect from you on each platform. So maybe and it's going to make it easier for you to plan. So maybe on Twitter, you only repost things. Maybe you post 1 or 2 pieces of original content, but you love hyping other people up. So that's what you do on Twitter. Tell them your original content lives on Facebook and Instagram. Setting goals for your content really helps. Remember, we talked about that earlier. And this content calendar is great for keeping consistent. Posting consistently is key to growing an engaged audience, because if you're constantly posting valuable stuff, they're going to think your account is valuable and they're going to listen to you. If you go to my Instagram account for social media for bookstores, you're going to be like, oh, interesting, Kathy Allen, you're not posting consistently. You're right. I'm not, because I've been creating these presentations. But come April, you'll see. And remember, the goal is for your feed to reflect your store. So take a look at it every once in a while. See if that's true. And maybe ask someone else that you know really well. Hey, does this feel like my store, this feed? Because I want it to. What if someone else is managing it? Find a way that you can communicate that works best for both of you. That's going to take some time. We know communication is key, and it will take time to figure this out. So make sure that style guide's in place and the expectations are very clear. This is really important too. If someone's managing your social media, make sure you have expectations in place and a plan in place for when responses need to happen in real time. So as an example, the attack on the Capitol. Not all social media accounts are going to comment or want to comment on something like that. But if you feel like that is part of your store, you want to comment on events that happen nationally. It's important to you. I think as the bookstore owner or the manager of the store, it should be ultimately up to that person to figure out how the store responds, not the social media manager. You can work together to craft a response, but I would suggest not putting it, there could be a lot of weight behind that. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you get the message right. So work together to craft a response. This goes for rude and offensive comments as well. Work together to figure out a system. What are we going to say? Are we going to block people? Are we going to delete comments? Again, communicating. Again, with the booksellers, get them all on deck. And just introduce content as part of their job, because I think during this pandemic, we have all realized how important social media is. It is helping drive people to the store. Some people are selling, exclusively through social media. So it can be part of your bookseller's job to promote the store, because they promote you in store. They can help promote the store online. And this is by creating content for you. They do not have to be promoting your store through their personal accounts. They don't have to show their voice. They don't have to do videos. They don't even have to give their name online. They can have a code name if they want. Because I know some people don't want to, or for reasons cannot be public on a social media platform. So you can have a stack of their favorite books. You can share a review. You can say, oh, one of our booksellers said. So it doesn't have to be, people can do as much or as little as they want. People come into our bookstore, Bard's Alley, and they'll say to Leah, oh, you're the one who has the pictures with all the books. And they'll say to me, oh, you're the one who does all the silly dancy things. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy being known for that. And that's what I do for them. I recommend if they are sending things to you, to get them to send you their raw content. So like I sent Leah in that example about the story of the brother with the book and the author. I sent her the photo. I sent her the story. She edited it. She put it in place and she sent it out. Think about making a list of what content you're looking for in the next month or few weeks. Shout out again to the social media manager at Bard's Alley, Leah, who does this. I love it. She'll say, I need, some of these things. Here's some ideas. And then it kind of helps. You kind of have no excuse not to do it unless you're like me. And sometimes I forget. So sorry, Leah, if you're watching this. And also ask if there's anything they want to share about. I kind of brought TikTok to our store and fun videos, and it really helped. And if people are energized about a certain type of content, run with that. They, why not? So you got this. Social media does not have to be complicated. There are literally no rules. There's guidelines, there's best practices, but there's no rules. There's no one who's going around yelling at bookstores about their social media. You may see me if I see something, for instance, the other day, someone was sharing a video with captions and the captions were blocked by some text. So you couldn't see the captions. So I'm not going to yell, but I went into their comments and said, hey, just so you know, you can't put captions there because the text is going to block it. Let me know if I can help you figure out where to go. And they said, oh yeah, I just figured that out. I'll ask you so what app do you use? And we had a conversation, right? So my goal is to get you to get a plan in place. You can relax a bit more about it, right? Clear up that headspace, think up of fun content and cool ways you can interact with your followers. Cause I want you to be excited. I don't want you to think social media is a chore because it should not be. It should be a fun extension of your awesome bookstore. Okay. One more thing before Q&A. Which we should have maybe 10 minutes for. If you need a little push or a friend to help you along the way, I'm here for you. I frequently share good bookstore social media ideas through our NEBA newsletter. You can subscribe via NEBA's website from our NEBA stores, like Spotted on Social, we call it. And I love indie bookstores, and I figured out a way to try and do this on a larger scale. So like I said earlier, I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is looking a little bare right now. TikTok's looking a little better. And I'm sharing info about how you can energize your social media feed, cool ideas from other stores. I really want to shine the spotlight on you all because you're doing really cool stuff. And it's totally okay to borrow ideas from another store. Like I said earlier, there are very few people that are following maybe more than 5 or 10 bookstores. And if they are, they're people like me who love bookstores, and nobody is going to say, oh, I can't believe that this store did the same thing as this store. Like, I'm going to unfollow them. No, they're going to say, that's a cool piece of content, right? So here are the handles. They're hyperlinked in the PDF as well. And if you follow me on either of these and you see I'm not following you, that is an oversight. I'm trying to follow, I can only follow so many a day on Instagram, but my goal on both is to follow all the indie bookstores that are posting there. So on TikTok, there's not as many as there are on Instagram, but I am trying. So thank you. Thank you for being here and for listening along and for working hard to get good books out in the world. And I honestly love indie bookstores so much, and I hope that this helped. I am going to pop this link in the chat for you too, but here's where you're going to find the link to the PDF and the workbook. And this is going to have, for the next presentation, some Canva templates. It's going to have the TikTok PDF there after tomorrow. So you can find everything there. I'm going to stop my share so I can put that link in the bio for you, or in the bio. See, I'm a social media person, link in bio. I'm going to put it in the chat for you, but I just lost everybody on Zoom. I hope I did not overwhelm you this morning. Wow, look at the chat. That's so exciting. Okay. I have so many things open. So let me just get that link for you because I want it to be really easy for you to come across.
And Kit is going to help. She's been keeping track of questions that might not be answered. So she'll help you with the questions.
Oh, thank you, Kit.
And if you want to stand up and stretch a little bit,
yes,
please do so. Keep your cameras on and just stretch. I know I need it.
Move around a little bit. I apologize, my friends. I had this already pulled up on my other computer that didn't let me screen share. So I don't think I can pull it right out of there. So let me just get it real quick for you. And thank you so much, everybody, for waking up and coming today and being open to all of this stuff. Because again, I know it is a lot of work, and I am honestly so excited when I see bookstores sharing stuff. I love hyping it up. I love hearing on TikTok. I've talked to a couple stores on there who said, I did this and now I have I talked to a lot of people. I had no idea people wanted to know about this specific thing or this, and it's just fun.
Kathy Ellen, while you're working on that share, there was a specific request as to whether or not you could share that Trello board or perhaps screenshots of it in there so people can.
You know what? I will add it to, again, my friends, I'm sorry that there's the permalink. Okay. I will add it to this, this link, this permalink. I'll probably do that after the Canva presentation because I have about 10 minutes in between all of this to the Canva, but I will add that there for you. Please take any and all ideas from there because they are for you. Okay, here comes the link in the chat.
By the way, you've been called a rock star. You've been called amazing.
Oh no, is it not? Okay, that's the link. Lies. Okay, hang on. My WordPress is like really view page. There we go. Okay, my WordPress is like being very secretive because they're like, we don't want to share this with anybody who doesn't know. Okay. Bam, bam. Okay, there it is. So you can click on that.
Okay, next.
Oh, thanks. I see. Love your passion. Energizes us all. Thank you. Because do I need to take a breath, Lisa? This is actually a little bit of a vacation for me. Normally I am like chasing around 4-year-olds all morning. So this is actually a little more relaxing to sit down. Thank you, Kit, for collecting everything. And I will make sure that I can share some stuff through our NEBA accounts to answer some of these questions because I want everybody to, I think we only have like 5 more minutes in between.
Okay. Do you have any ideas for organizing all these great photos we're taking constantly so we can easily find what we're looking for and reuse the photos? Great suggestions were in chat, but I wanted to see if you had any ideas as well.
Sure. If you can organize folders on your phone, I use Google Photos, so automatically upload stuff off my phone because I am one of those people whose phone is always full. I have like 200 drafts on TikTok. So TikTok takes up 20 gigabytes on my phone. So I have to use Google Photos because I have to delete stuff a lot. Okay. And I think you could also put them in a Trello board. You can put it in Google Drive, especially, if you have, here are all the bookstore photos. And if you have a way, those ways are really easy. It's easy to have those and then put them back on your phone, if that makes sense, if you don't have them on your phone.
Chat also recommended
Canva, perhaps too, you can have a folder of like graphics or things. So those are my ideas. Again, since I don't manage social media for a bookstore, it's a little different. I kind of create more graphics than I do photos, but hopefully that helps. And then play around with it.
What are your capture thoughts for online stores and pop-ups?
Definitely photos of when your books are in there. You can do screenshots. We're going to be talking about that in Canva. Screenshot of like, if you make a new page on your website or a video of scrolling through your website. Hey, do you know how to get to our used book section? Do you know how to get to whatever? I'll be showing you on Canva. There's a frame you can put that in that looks like a computer or a phone. So it makes it just a little more fun. And it looks like, someone is holding a phone and the video is right there. That's a really great way to share some capture content, like content you have that's online. Because I know it's kind of hard. Who's just going to look at a screenshot of my website? I'd also say for pop-ups, like I am very intrigued. Where do you store your books? What do you use when you drive to the place? What's your setup like? What's your packaging like when you're mailing things out? Think of this. Think of if someone was starting brand new, I come to you and say, I would love to do a pop-up bookshop. And so what do I need to know? Right? You know so much. You may think you don't know that much because it's just everyday knowledge to you, but I know 0. Okay. Even if you know 2%, even if you've done one pop-up shop, you know how to order the books, you know the best way to transport them, you know the coolest way to display them that works for you, whatever. What software do you use? How do you find companies to partner with? All that.
Okay, next question. It's a big one. Our store
Okay.
does lots of events that we like to highlight on social media. How do you balance event promotion with regular content? Also, do you know what? Answer that and then I'll ask the next part.
Okay, so I see this a lot. This is good for different platforms, right? I see a lot of people, Facebook is really good for having those events with people can say, I'm going, I'm not going. Some places only talk about the events on Facebook and then maybe tweet about it. And maybe you put that in your Instagram story, right? You also could, if you'd like, if you feel like my feed, say on Instagram, my feed is like way too much events right now. After the event, if you wanted to, you could take some of those posts off if you feel like your feed is too heavy with that. I think that you can play around with, because the Instagram stories, and if you don't know how to do that, we'll talk about that on Instagram one and in the breakouts on Instagram too. I think those are a great way to do those quick reminders, like don't forget this, because they only stay up for one day. I have to answer this really quick for Linktree. Okay. Linktree is great. I have another option that might be a little, you might think is a little more stressful, but I promise you it's fun. Like that link that I made, Kathy Ellen Davis, NVNR social media retreat links, right? That's just a page on my website. You can do that. You should be able to do that pretty easily. There are ways that you can make it look fancy and you can make it look like buttons, but I do that for all of my personal accounts because one time a couple of years ago, Linktree went down and people were scrambling. And you get people to come to your website. So it's one less click. So Linktree is still a good option because that is a really easy like drag and drop. They make it really intuitive. I promise. I see Jamie saying, figuring out Linktree's on my social media bucket list. I promise if you take maybe 10 minutes, you'd be able to figure it out. And I think perhaps the next level, if you wanted to go there, would be to create just a page that, like this page is not, you have to have this link to get to it, right? And it's hidden otherwise, so people who have the link will be the only place they can get to it. So that is another option, just in case. I'm sure Linktree has like changed because they were not happy that they went down, and it should work. So yeah, give yourself 10 minutes, get some chocolate and be like, I'm going to do this, and you can figure it out.
Second half of the last question is it
Yes.
better to share graphics for the event or photos of the author's books in store, or a combination of both? Any promo for Event Insight would be helpful.
Sure. You can do both. You'll see, I'm going to be taking some pictures of the author event, the lunch at 1 o'clock. I'm going to be taking pictures of people talking on Zoom, and sometimes you got to get like 40 pictures to get one good one, because I am not about to post a picture of someone being like, they don't want that. Nobody wants that. So if you can't get a good photo, they have really good photos. And keep it fresh, because maybe it is easier to sometimes to just plop together two images and create that. So you can do whatever works for you. I'd say experiment, see what people like more. If nobody's having a reaction to one over the other, what takes less time? Figure that out. I wanted to, yes, I see someone saying in Canva, you can make a Linktree related thing as well. And my suggestion, yes, Lucille, was what you can link to direct pages on that basic like Linktree page that you make on your website. You can still link to everything. And that's just a different, it's like same as Linktree, I guess, is what I was suggesting. And yeah, good thing, to get a still of it. That is a good idea. If you're doing a Zoom, you can ask everybody to hold up. I've even seen people do that in store too. I saw Mo Willems talk a couple times, and he says right at the beginning, I know everyone's going to want a picture of me with my book. So here I am. Okay. Everybody take your pictures. And then he's like, here I am talking to you, so it's kind of fun. So whenever we can get back to in-store, that could be an idea too.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
Curious about a realistic budget for small or even medium-sized stores.
For someone to pay someone to do social media, or
the questioner can ask in chat?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, Janine says yes.
Yeah, so I know the bookstore that I work at, we have someone on staff who does it. So that's like another staff person. That is a tricky question. I know that, I don't want you paying a ton of money. I kind of want you to figure things out on your own if you can, but I also know you probably don't have a lot of time. I would say consider seeing if you have someone in the store who can do it and just pay them some more store hours. I am not the person who knows too much about ads and things like that. I don't really do that side of things. And I'm still trying to figure out, because this this idea to do this for bookstores came to me during a time when I have, I think, 4 other jobs. So I'm still building up that idea of kind of what I would charge as a hourly rate. And I would just I'm more on the consulting side. I'm not on the actually posting it for you side, because I don't want to do that. So I don't know if that answered your question, Janine. It probably didn't. I would say start small and see what's happening. A lot of times you can't tell exactly what drove what, unless you're posting a book and saying, comment if you'd like to buy it, and then someone comments. But you might hear in your store, I was so happy that I did a photo with Alone Together, and we had someone call that day and said, I want 4 copies of that book. That sounds great. I love that it benefits Bink. And can folks, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Lisa's asking, can folks who do pay for someone to do social media in store comment how many hours you pay for or something like that? Like, I know at our store, our Leah manages everyone. So she gets everyone's stuff and puts it out there. And I think she does that about 20 hours a week. And then I'd say probably all of us at the store, I might spend an hour tops. Like I said, most of the time I am doing I'm creating content at the store during slow times. So maybe 20 hours or 10 hours. Again, figure out how much you want to post, because you don't have to dive right into, I'm posting every day, I'm doing all the stuff. You can start slow. You are the boss of what you would like to do. Intern is a great idea, Kit. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in one of the other presentations. And we can talk about this at maybe a breakout some other time, because there are also lots of people who love sharing. You'd be surprised. You might have some bookstagrammers in your community who love your store, and maybe you can talk to them and say, some of them are linking to Amazon for the hopes. I know I said Amazon, but because I have to, for the hopes that they might make 10 cents, right? And if you come to them and say, hey, we'll give you a discount. If you post what you buy at the store and say you got it from us, we'll give you a 10-20% discount or something. That could turn into something. You never know. Maybe they'll say, hey, I would love to do a spotlight on your store. Can we talk about a promotion? So there are lots of ideas for it, and there are ways to do it without a ton of money, I think, too. But that's going to take more time. I hope that helps. I know our next one starts at 11, so I think I need to go on mute, guzzle some water, it's going to be on Canva. So to give you a quick idea, I'm going to be walking through Canva, free and pro. I'm going to be showing you some things I've created in Canva, showing you some tips, and I'm going to show the Canva templates that we have already prepared for this social media retreat, because we have publishers who have generously sponsored this and provided us information on books for us to share. So I have created it so easy for you. And it is a really simple way to share about a book without saying, I love this book. I don't want you to say you love a book that you've never read, right? But it's something very basic. Like, we heard about this book at the conference. So we're going to talk a little bit about Canva's content planner too. So that's coming up in 2 minutes.